Good morning. It's 10:57 in the morning, and I would like to welcome you for some Vermintide, and I'm going to show you how to actually play Vermintide. Sorry, I had to fix the green screen. So yeah, I've been on Trovo for a little over than a week now, and I've noticed that there's no true Vermintide players. Everyone's like an absolute beginner and um very slow gameplay, no hordes. So I would like to introduce myself as Zazie Dumpling. I've been playing Vermintide for about a year. It's a very hard game of lots and lots of fighting. You're basically trying to hunt for all red items. You want red items to have the smoothest battles, you know? Red items will help you beat Cataclysm. It is the hardest difficulty in the game. Without red items, you're gonna be stuck, um, like in champion missions. So you want to get yourself red items by playing legendary missions. So I'm gonna give you the most important tip in playing this game. When you're playing legendary, slash and cataclysm, 80% or 75% of your gameplay you're gonna be doing blocking, lots and lots of blocking. Okay, you're gonna do block, and then you're gonna step back. Okay, you don't want to block and then stay. Like you see how I block in hordes. There's rats that are gonna be behind the frontline rats, and those rats could hit through their people, right? So you got to be concerned not only about the rats that are in, completely in front of you. You got to be worried about the rats in the second, third rows as well, because they could reach, you know. So you got to block and step back. All right, let everyone throw their little mini punches like they do, right? And then you come in with something hard. And unless, so I don't have a crowd control weapon, right? So what I have to do is that I'm gonna be looking right and left a lot, and I'm just gonna be swinging here, swinging here. People who have crowd control weapons are like the long swords, where like you're gonna have a very wide swing like that. You see that? That's a crowd control weapon. That's really nice, but a little bit too slow. So I use this weapon for the elites. When the biggest guys come by, I come in and zoom right through their skulls. Right. Anyways, you should be blocking a lot though. Okay, lots and lots of blocking. I think I know where everyone's coming from, because when I first started this game, I thought blocking was the most pathetic thing. I hated it. I did not want to block. I wanted to swing, move around, this and that. I didn't understand the concept of blocking. I don't know. Maybe I'm such a bad gamer or whatever, but it took me a little bit to understand that that blocking is very important. Very, very, very important. So you need to, you know, if you're having difficulty going over that champion bump, start blocking. Okay, start doing, go ahead and don't worry about a lot of newbies, they come out over here and they look for those um dummies to hit on, and they just, everyone's worried about swinging and this and this and that, and no one's ever worried about the blocking and step back. No one's ever worried about blocking, stepping to the sides. No one's ever worried about those. And this is what makes you a great player. Okay, doing all this, that's what makes you a great player. Okay, and that's it. That's it. So let's go. Let's start one. We're gonna do. Oh yeah, I was doing veteran. because I wanted to talk about this right today. But last night I was like, let me see how veteran and recruit is. You know, I forgot how how those gameplays are. You know, I wanted to see how small the hordes are. And I was noticing a lot of players not blocking. I went on Trovo and Twitch to look at the players, the streamers. No blocks. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we all got to start somewhere. Yeah, so this is just simple advice. That's it. Let's do some. I'm gonna do a little legendary here. Everything's good with my mic. Yeah, it's good. Hi.
With the comet return out.
The time has come, people. The Skittergate guards have been thinned. The Rockblood forces lack leadership, and dear old Rasputin is off.
I know I'm green. I know.
Congratulatory victory speech. This is our chance to destroy the.
I think I'm okay with being a little transparent.
Before you start screaming bloody murder, you must go through the Skittergate and travel to Norska. It's the only way. So listen carefully. If you don't do exactly as I say, don't be coming back.
I am truly speechless. This planet. Oh, no. Quiet.
You see that? One hit on those elites, and usually it takes quite a bit of swings to kill such a big guy like that. But when you have a very heavy weapon as your secondary, you could really take advantage of the charge. It's so nice. But yes, you gotta have one heavy weapon. I think it's important if you wanna be a very offensive player. Oh, nice. And you want to have light weapons as well, so you could help out with the huge attacks and hordes. I was an iron breaker for a little bit. Oh no. Did she get hit? Yes. I was an iron breaker with a shield for a little bit, and I was getting really upset with my gameplay because I was noticing everyone's getting like 300 or 400 kills, and I'm over here with shit. And everyone was getting like 300, 400 kills, and I'm over here with like barely getting to I was barely getting to 200 sort of things, you know. So I wanted to help my team out more. So I changed my player. I had to learn how to use this guy, because for a while I was using guns and stuff, and like shotguns when I was first playing. Now with the Grail Knight, you don't have a weapon. You don't have a gun, I mean. So it's, yeah, you're definitely helping out your team a lot more with a player like the Grail Knight. You have to be like close up to the action. You're basically like a semi tank. Iron Breaker, he's like a nice tanky tank. But I see the Grail Knight, it's a nice mix. Ooh.
That's the skid.
That was so bad.
Good look at it.
But yeah, you see how so I stress blocking a lot because you can't get hit a lot in this game. You know, all those other games you could get hit like 20, 30 times, whatever. Not this game. 3 hits,
We only
that's
need
it.
one.
I smell charred fat. A fire rat.
You can drop it, Dumpling. We only need one.
How do I
Can't keep going.
how do I drop this? It's not dropping.
Hold left click.
Oh shit, I did not know that.
A vile brew makes no
I literally destroyed the book. That's pretty cool. Oh, nice. Oh no. Oh, okay, okay. I thought I saw. Oh, yeah, there they are. They. From where? So isn't that pretty cool? I did not know you could destroy the book. I did not know that. And you said we only need one? Okay, I guess. So those books are for just points. It helps you upgrade your box, your loot box in the end if you win. That's the way you get your red items. You gotta get all the books. Helps you upgrade those loot boxes you get in the end. And it's like the only way. Nice.
Aye, sure, let's just gamble our lives away. Skaven technology's always a safe bet, isn't it?
So I guess I've been playing with like super hard mode by actually collecting all the books. But they have
Very screeching voices.
I got fucking stuck. But yeah, that was a hook rat. They're hard. They're the worst. Ooh, I want that. I'll take care of that. They're just waiting for me. Oh man.
That's a lot of Kazaki dome. Too many for us. Where's this back door of Lorna's?
I lost a nice chunk of life getting hit by that troll. Why was he doing that? I wasn't far behind. Oh. I mean, I run faster than everybody, so don't worry. You know what I'm saying?
One moment.
Yeah, 2 grims on this level is very difficult. Okay.
There's all.
I've been doing it since the beginning of time, but okay. You know, we're just gonna do it to make himself feel better. And if we don't do it, he's probably gonna lose us the game. So
Kill that flaming beast! Slay it swiftly! Never did like potions.
are you taking?
Oh well, any port in a storm. Grimgy, form me a good eye when you shoot.
Impressive Sonic son, but wipe that spittle.
And the cool thing about Legendary and Cataclysm, you're always gonna get some really good players, you know? Fuck you. Ah, what the bro? I landed right next to that idiot.
And confusion to our foes.
Oh no. Oh.
Quit your yammering. There's a Chaos Warrior near.
Where? Ooh. Aww. Yeah, it's better to just stay here and deal with the hordes, because we could literally trap ourselves if we progress further. So let's just deal with the hordes behind us, so we could deal with the hordes in front of us. It's a slow way, but it's the best way. I mean, I know.
Supplies for our ranged weapons. That's what you get for blindstorming.
Where is he going? Okay. I thought somebody was AFK, no? Damn, someone stole my kills. Not steal, but someone beat me to them. They were very fast.
As still as do me, this is about to get messy. Here. I'm losing my patience.
Look, you see what I mean? They're so fast. They're good. Nice. You fucking blew them up. I'll take it.
I spy a potion. Pick up your feet. Move. Gas rat incoming!
Can you not sense it?
Oi,
Don't
peasant!
think
Don't
they're
stick
dragging
to the
you
gas.
through.
I step wherever I want!
Kill the hoof make it suffer.
Follow!
Oh god.
Go the way! I can't cannot fight this storm! Kill its creator! Keep sharp watch. We need the key staff. Only the gatekeeper carries it. Medical supplies here.
It's not that bad, Mayfly.
Thank you. I'm gonna get some water for this fight.
Boy, that's another fine load of rubbish, bloke bag. Come and greet old Gruber.
Come get some.
Hello and chit-chat up close
Oh,
and
did I get him? Dead. That was fast. That was beautiful.
Ah, the taste is worse than the smell.
Hail for you. Dory? Ah, you're a gas rat.
Incoming! Have a care! That's a chaos warrior!
Ow.
Gas! Hold your breath!
Strangler!
You're about to throw its poison!
Smiler than your breath, one eye.
So it's always really important to clear out the monsters or zombies from behind you. Don't push too hard on the front ahead of yourself, because these guys are programmed to run around you. So another tip, you know,
When
be
you gotta come get this tome.
be patient about
Oh, let this potion work.
oh, they're killing everybody.
Sharp, mate. They'll be back.
Nice. Massacre.
Fire rats near. Fare thee
There,
well,
we got all
fire
three.
rats.
Except me.
Ammunition!
The one who keeps getting injured.
One less leech. One last gasp from the
Damien.
Leech is down!
Is someone behind me? Man, these guys are fucking good, bro.
dead.
They're on those elites pretty damn well. Usually it's me just killing elites. Well, most of the time I'm the one on the lead on elite kills. I don't even think I have more than 10 right now.
As Alicia uncovered this machine gets fault.
Let's go.
Time to encourage it, right?
Let's go. This guy. They're like broke. Addicted. Let's just go.
That should be a war regulator. Give it a battering glory.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Ooh. Look at that. They fall down like a waterfall. They're behind me, aren't they?
That's good and smashed. Back through the gate and pray the
Oh,
lady's
no.
watching over us. Oi, peasant, back that in.
Oh.
Little potion.
Drop of this'll help me along.
Right, let's show them how to
I was trying to get the medical supply, but I got it.
wipe in a day.
Pocket, you shot me. Come on. I just got full health and he has to shoot me already. I'm always getting shot. That's why they don't give me the fucking book.
Except the times I did.
It's good to highlight his ass because he likes to teleport a lot. And then you'll lose sight of him, so highlight him. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Wow, did you see that fucking dumbass move of mine? Okay, gaga. Shit, what the f—
Listen, Grail, that was a bit close.
Oh no. I'm getting to you. Damn it. Don't let them kill me. Oh shit. Ow. Fuck you. I fucking knew he was gonna do some shit like that. I knew it. I just knew it. He's gonna be in the middle? Oh.
Glorious intervention! Ahead! This cave won't hold, but if Sigmar wills it, we may yet escape.
We all got a little screwed up there. But yeah, you see, we could have still done the other book. We could have done it.
Through here.
The weave calls me back.
You could use some aid, Elf.
What does your mistress of doors? Lend me your might.
That's it, Trinbaladi. No more Cataclysm coming through that way. Ah, no, yes. He also lied.
The town takes a vengeance of its own. Find the portal, and our shift is ended.
Force, body, and soul.
That was easy. Damn, Prophet of Doom had 491 kills. Look at my specials. 7. Oh, okay. I had 26. I had a pretty decent amount. So it was Prophet of Doom who was taking all of it. Okay, okay. Let's do it.
Now, there's a sorcerer lord creating quite a hullabaloo down in what's left of Helmgard. Turns out it's Burble Spew Hailscourge, the same fat bastard who ordered the theft of my book collection in Ubersreich, remember? Alicia says he's conjuring up a city-sized plague mist which will make the rot blood stronger and kill any decent folk. So, ride the guildsman's lift into the centre and just stove his bloody head in. No one steals from me.
Fighting hordes of packed pissers by now. Oh, the pack musics will turn up any second, don't you worry, Dory. Right-o, mates, we've a sodding sorcerer to off. Good deed of the day and a bit of fun, all in one.
Ooh,
Keep moving.
cut in
Weaver.
half.
You're not destined to fall here.
Or ripped in half. More like it. Ooh. Ew.
Kill 'em quicker next time, would ya? Bugger! Right in the head! Look out! Blade right! Fanatic! The fire that dies! Grab that potion!
There's a green potion right over there.
Keep your eyes open! Backstabber!
Damn, forget that green potion. Everyone's running away. And there's an assassin on my ass. Take care of the rats behind ya. Shit.
Oh, for the love of there's a walk fire thrower nearby!
Ooh.
Fire rat! Reckon I'm done for.
It's a wonder you're still standing, Kruber.
You shouldn't fret about this weave of yours, Watelgi. Stone walls and sturdy arms will see us safe.
And when the stone crumbles, dwarf, when the metal rots, when there is no timber to fuel the forge.
I'll keep fighting, never you fear.
But will it be a world worth fighting for?
I got a good one. Usually my bombs suck on that one. On that part. But I really got a good one. Murdered. Ow.
We'll have to cross somewhere. Let's hope we don't have to swim.
Anything to grab? Ooh. No. He took the purple stuff. Oh. I'll get that purple stuff. Hey, potion right over there. Oh. Wow. Hey, I'm about to get my special really soon.
Aren't you?
A drop of this will help me along. Oh, not so formidable now, is he? Armor is no defense against the righteous.
Uh-oh. And he's by himself fighting it. Oh, he got it. He got it.
I'm not swimming that. Look for a way across the canal.
What? I missed? Oh, my sword is getting shorter or something.
That troll rules more than the
Oh, shit.
Would you kindly refrain from shooting me?
Drink the fucking potion. Uh-oh.
Finish me if you dare.
Help, you look better.
Better, Cougar.
You gotta get rid of the ads. I'll help with the ads. So they can fight the boss. I'm over here trying to stop the horde from approaching us. Shit, never mind.
Then I'll let you have the next one, Elf. Anyone have some healing? Or an arm they ain't using?
Done. No more?
The lion dainty ears are here to kill, warrior. Only hurts when I lost.
They were like on vacation.
When I breathe.
I was doing a lot of fighting, but that was fun.
Anyone fancy a
I'm gonna take that.
I'm surprised you can stand without it.
I'm gonna take some water.
You know, when this is done, it might be best to fill this lot in and start over.
I never thought to hear such sentiments from a dwarf.
Look around, Ricky. Elm guards gone. Poisoned. Vengeance. That's about the lot.
Never! The Empire does not concede.
Ow, he fucking hit me, man.
Sweet Grundy's Lord and Kizar! Chaos Warrior, I want you another drink. Yeah, that bloody earth.
You need aid, Cougar.
Got hell suck his dirt. Die, will ya?
Let the
We need one of you to come here and take the tome.
Oh shit. Shit. We gotta get rid of the hordes behind us.
It's all service, peasant. You all crackheads in the same cause.
Same cause. For we are so
I was about to do that too. Shit, another one. Did we take it? Yeah, sounds good.
Aye, we've a leech by the sound of it.
Ammunition, should you have a care?
Tell me, Kruger, do you even know how these lifting platforms work?
Not me. A simple, bluff soldier, me. I keep to the things I know.
Well,
Boys, over here! Ah, my grandmother hits harder than that.
Oh. I'm not with the group. I gotta be with the group.
Natural living.
one eye. Stop shooting.
I killed the hook rat. Shields incoming! Bring the rat in. I'm a bit back.
Oh, God.
Do I need any help? You must not die. Again, Dorrickson, hit it again!
I owe you one, Elf. Medicine here, should anyone care?
This isn't a delight for me either, and you know it.
Where's the medical supplies?
Weapons up! It's the tougher bandit.
You took it already?
Praise the comet. Ammunition.
Ah, bollocks, you're still not brandy. Now that's a Glober deer.
You'll burn! That vermin has a shield.
That's a hook rat.
A star vermin. It shall be slain.
Skaven patrol ahead.
Ah, the stink of it. There's a scryer rat close.
That storm vermin cowers behind a shield. Storm vermin!
What's up here? I've never been up here before.
I'll kill some rat men to revenge you, lad. Whoever you were.
Fire rat is near.
Peasant, back that in.
Dare they strike me down?
The elves. Horizontal.
What's over here? Nothing.
For the love of Sigma, defend yourself, Gregson! What side? Storm vermin!
A vile brew, make no mistake.
Over here! Easy pickings for you! Don't live, Joey! That's not for long, I warrant.
Likely we've our sorcerer ahead.
Ha! It shoots much, but hits little.
Demon I get, but why a tree, peasant?
Because they are degenerates to a man. Born only so they may be scourged by the righteous.
Your timing is impeccable. I'm sure I could use a
Fine words do not make the man scunner, the less so delivered like that. Be embarrassing.
I'm about to die. Oh. Oh shit. The fuck? Who's nearby? Nobody.
Hold on! I'm going to hurt you!
Go hit Barden.
Shit. Fuck. I hate that fucking berserker, man. I hate those guys. Shit. Now I'm about to die.
Lost beyond words.
Oh, looks like our help is as eternal as we thought. Well, the black rats.
That was really funny. I dropped like a bag of potatoes. What did I say? I'm always getting shot. Always getting shot. Fucking killed me right at the end. I totally called it. All right. 23. Nice. Bro, they've been hoarding the elites from me. They've been hoarding the elites. I could do one more. Yes. Let me do that real quick. Okay. Oh, we're doing the war camp? Okay. Isn't the war camp the really hard one? Like the hardest one? Let's see.
Thanks to our efforts, the locale's seething with Northlanders who want to find our merry little hidey hole and murder us all in our beds. Yes, it's alarming, but it's also an opportunity. The search has left the camp at Ussingfeld Marsh lightly defended, enough for us to turn the tables on our rock-blood friends. I doubt you'll find their champion in his bed, but I'm sure you'll manage the murder part.
Walking into a Northlander camp and killing their champion. Lona made it sound as easy as making.
Oh, never mind. This is the other war camp.
Are we not mighty? After all, what can possibly go wrong?
Damn, there was one behind me? I already lost half of my life. The game literally started. There hasn't even been 10 bad guys, and I already lost more than half.
No fighting.
Shit. Uh-oh. Why is he fighting by himself?
Not that I'm complaining, but why are the Northlanders in the swamp?
They're at least his lad.
Can't deny that you know how to kill elk.
Bombs here. Let's hope the black powder inside is dry.
I want that bomb.
Quiver's dead.
I hear a chant.
Oh my god. I totally ducked that.
Right here! Give me a good shot! Not enough! Either in numbers or effort! More!
This knight hides much, but not from me.
Who do I give it to? I'll give it to Prophet of Doom.
Just got dead.
How do I give it to her? I can't.
It's scurrying as loud as a drumbeat.
Heckin' scum! Drinking a potion. I fear not your horns, beast.
Oh my god, they're behind us like crazy.
Can't breathe. Where I go bad, peasant? You're shooting me. Oi, peasant, don't step in the gas.
They keep pushing forward. I'm not there with them yet.
How dare you strike me down?
Horizontal.
The rattling is dead. Time for a potion. An empty quiver serves
Body and soul.
Shit. I missed my fucking... Murder.
Been a while since this was anyone's home.
feeding.
You're a bit bloody, eh?
Oh! It didn't go through. I was aiming for the elite.
Effort.
Now remember, if I fall
I can't, but I've never, you know, I've never done so poorly back to back. Oh god.
Hiding in the shadows, assassin.
Oh god. Fuck. I love how urgent he sounded there. Kill it, like it was a cockroach.
Think of it. There's a scryer out close. No! Such vileness. I do believe you're getting better at this.
Shit. I died. Hopefully I'll spawn next to that guy. Next to him. If I make it. Come on, please spawn next to him. Come on. Where's my other body? It should show up anytime now. Fuck. I'm not there. Where am I? Fuck. I'm even further. Come on, man. You never took it. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Come, stunner. My disdain alone.
Mind your wounds, peasant.
Can't fight the water.
Where is he?
Lady, shield me. I'm in need. Now that's a Globateer. Globateer down.
Oh, I didn't mean to fall.
Did you guys light the candle over there?
No.
There's 3 candles in this area for the Grim. Come here. I already got the first 2. There's one by the tent on the right side, and there's one underneath the rock that you drop on when you come into this
Someone needs
area.
to strike a blow for Usingen. Thinking on your
Let me see what he's talking about.
I avenged them.
Oh,
That's right.
that thing?
What
Oh.
about the dead who have no one to fight for them? A Globateer is near. Maggie, over there, kill the one. Globe lobber coming in. Poor buggers, strung up like sides of meat.
That rot hell might test us, mayflies.
The Black Stormer, that is. Shut, I am German! Don't let me die with my boots on.
Oh god. Is that tornado behind us? What the
this'd be easy.
You realize, of course, that this is but one of the Rotblood camps.
Didn't think we could be lucky enough for it to be otherwise. Might be the largest, though.
Yes. And not only does it house the accursed champion, it is also the closest to Hellcat. It can't. We must end that town's defense.
Get down from there.
Get on with the killing.
Is he talking to his kids? Oh shit. Damn it.
Eyes open, light feet.
Damn it.
Oh, well, fine. So that's how it is. Keep on till we reach the gate. Strangler, watch out! Hook rat!
Oh god.
Where's the killer Scooby?
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god.
Down. 7.
The soul is willing, but the flesh requires binding.
Uh-oh.
Reckon I'm done.
Oh, I use... You just... Oh. Shit. Fucking wasted a medic pack, dog.
Doesn't Sigma say don't shoot the dwarf, Grimgay?
I know you are here, heretics. Show yourself.
I wasted a medic pack.
Ain't right. Yeah. Come on! Again! I've been taken. I catch my drum.
Arm yourself. Must not lack for ammunition.
Where is this cursed champion?
arena. This wound is nothing.
Ah, bollocks, you're still not brave.
Hmm.
Dumpling, do you have proxy?
Proxy. I can't remember.
Okay, well, stand next to me when you use that conch pot, please.
Use the what?
The concentration potion that you have.
Oh, got it.
Healing trap, over here!
Come next to your salt spire.
Hack me down if you can. I need no aid against weakling Southlanders.
Now you're talking like a doorway. Weapons up, Kentucky Doom!
What the fuck?
Who else wants to try these Southlands? Prove you're a true Rockblood.
Oh, all that pacing was the wrong never went.
Stealers of slaves, torturers of loot, defilers of wars.
Shit. I got one more for him.
Right, don't it, good fellows. And here you go. No
May I remind you, you are not invincible, what?
use that eye of yours, Kentucky. And yet. So not this time either, then. Not even a real champion. Out of the swamp for the rich glory.
I'll take the general. Damn. Wow. These are good guys to run with. Prophet of Doom just fucking murdering people. 427. Jesus. Good game, guys. I gotta go. Well, no one showed up for Vermintide. What do I do? What do I do? Do I play some chess? Doesn't matter. Nah. An hour and 23, not a single person. For Vermintide. Why? Why do people not want to play? What's going on YouTube right now? The hearings? Can you watch the hearings on YouTube? If we can, then that's what I'm doing. Right here, and I'm gonna eat some food too. I'm gonna get some food.
Beat me in the head, ripped off my gas mask, straining my neck, skull, split my lip open, just everything he could. And at that point, I recognized that if I stayed there, then I was gonna, pass out from lack of oxygen or get dragged out into the crowd and end up like Fanone. So I called for help. I tried to make it clear that my position was untenable. I had to fall back.
I think I know how to
the other
get.
officers heard that, were able to get me out of there.
I know how to get people over here.
To the back where I recuperated as best I could before I got back out there again.
Well, it's clear that you suffered immense pain from the assault. It's clear that you were outnumbered, and yet you just said you got back out there again. Tell me what's worth all of that pain? What was worth it? What were you fighting for that day?
Democracy. You were 40 feet away, 40 yards, whatever. Especially with the razor-thin margins on Democrats and Republicans in the House and Senate, if any single one person was kidnapped or killed, which I have no doubt in my mind is what they intended, that would affect the outcome of legislation and all your duties for years to come. And if that's just one person, what if, more than one person, the difference would be even greater than what should be and will be. And obviously for each other. Your immediate concern is the well-being of your colleagues, the other officers who were there fighting beside me. I think I can speak for everyone when I say we worry about each other more than ourselves. That's just in our nature. It's part of why you become a police officer. So, like when Fanone said he was trying to find out who needs help and no one would volunteer, That's just an example of that kind of mindset that we have. So it was for democracy. It was for the men and women of the House and Senate. It was for each other, and it was for the future of the country.
Thank you, Officer Hodges, and thank you all for defending democracy. And I appreciate your testimony, and I appreciate your continued service. With that, I yield back.
Young lady yields back. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sergeant Cannell, Officer Fanone, Officer Hodges, Officer Dunn, you are great law enforcement officers and a hero to law enforcement officers across the country. You're great public servants. You are a hero to public servants across the country, but you are great Americans and you are heroes to all of America. And long after you are gone, you will be remembered as heroes to our country, along with your fellow officers. And those who attacked you and those who beat you are fascist traitors to our country and will be remembered forever as fascist traitors. Now, Officer Dunn, I've got to start with you because you're my constituent. And you are the pride of Maryland today because of the way you stood up for the Capitol and for the Congress and for our democracy. But you said something fascinating in your testimony. You said you never seen anybody physically assault a single officer before in your 13 years on the force, much less thousands and thousands of people attacking hundreds of officers. So how did you experience that when it first happened?
So with regards to the never seen, I've seen videos of officers being attacked and people resisting arrest, but to clarify, it's never been the assaults on the scales that we have seen like that before. I just wanted to clarify that. Can you repeat your question?
Well, actually, it leads to my next one, actually. You made a really interesting point. You said you'd seen protests for many, many years. You'd seen even civil disobedience for many years. There's an effort today to portray the events of January 6th like some kind of resurrection of Dr. King's March on Washington in 1963. You know, and I've seen a lot of protests here too. I've seen the March for Our Lives that the young people did about gun violence. I see people marching for DC statehood, arguing for their rights to representation in Congress, and I've seen civil disobedience. But was this like any of those rallies or marches or demonstrations you'd ever seen? And if not, what was different about it?
So while the marches the protests that you specifically talked about, I'll go a step further and talk about the ones that had the potential to be not so peaceful. You had the Million Man March rally, the 20th anniversary of it. It was a lot of opposition to that. You had the Klan that came up here. You had people that were pro-guns that wanted to come up here. So all of those had the potential to be very violent and frankly quite deadly, but they did not. This wasn't the first time that, if I can just use this quote, that the MAGA people came up here to the Capitol before. They were in DC before. There were some skirmishes, but it was never the attempt to overthrow democracy. They came up, I think this was maybe their second or third time that they had come up on January 6th. And even then, as belligerent as they were, it didn't account to this violence. So the only difference that I see in that is that they had marching orders, so to say. When people feel emboldened by people in power, they assume that they're right. Like one of the scariest things about January 6th is that the people that were there, even to this day, think that they were right. They think that they were right. And that makes for a scary recipe for the future of this country. So I think that's why it's very important that you all take this committee seriously and get to the bottom of why this happened and let's make it never happen again.
Thank you. Officer Fanone, I think you've given our committee our marching orders today. which is to hold the line. You held the line, and now we've got to hold the line. So I want to thank you for that. If we show a fraction of the courage and the valor that you all demonstrated on January 6th, then we will hold the line in this committee. But I want to ask you about holding the line. I want to go back to this question of weapons so we can clear this up, because there are still some people who are saying that the insurrectionists were unarmed. And I wonder what your reaction is to that, because we've heard about, well, first of all, rampant baseball bats, lead pipes, Confederate battle flags, and so on. And what about the question of firearms? So what is your reaction generally to this proposition that they weren't armed?
First and foremost, I would say that the implements that you just described are most certainly weapons. With regards to firearms, I know that in the days immediately before the January 6th insurrection and January 6th itself, firearms were recovered by law enforcement from individuals in Washington, D.C. Who were believed to have been participants, or at least those who were planning to participate in the January 6th insurrection. And yes, those were firearms, handguns, and such.
Forgive me for these questions, but I've got to ask you, apparently in some nether regions of the internet, it's being said that you, Officer Fanone, maybe were mistaken for Antifa, and that's why you were nearly beaten to death that day and carried in the crowd. Is there any way you think you were mistaken for Antifa?
Well, I was in full uniform. I was, like I said, wearing my uniform shirt adorned with the Metropolitan Police Department's patch. I had my badge on until somebody ripped it off my chest. I do not believe I was mistaken for a member of Antifa.
You mentioned in your testimony that there's some people who would prefer that all of this go away, that we not have an investigation. Let's let bygones be bygones. But you seem pretty determined to get the country to focus on this. Why is that so important to you?
Well, first and foremost, because of the actions of officers who responded there that day, specifically from my department, but also from the U.S. Capitol Police and some of the surrounding jurisdictions. You know, downplaying the events of that day is also downplaying those officers' response. And like Sergeant Cannell said, some of the officers, part of the healing process from recovering from the traumatic events of that day is having the nation accept the fact that that day happened.
Some people are saying that that as public servants, you all should not be speaking out, that cops, firefighters, teachers should just serve the public but should not speak out as citizens. What do you think about that, Officer Fanone?
Well, I disagree. I've been outspoken throughout my career, never to this magnitude. As an undercover officer and a narcotics officer, I've preferred obscurity in the public eye. However, this event is something that we have not experienced in our lifetimes.
Officer Hodges, I read your testimony carefully. I hope every American reads your testimony. But I noted that you referred to terrorists or terrorism 15 different times to describe the people who were assaulting officers, dragging them through the crowd, stealing their weapons, smashing them over the head, gouging eyes, and so on. However, some of our colleagues have been calling the violent insurrectionists not terrorists, but tourists. Why do you call the attackers terrorists, and what do you think about our colleagues who think we should call them tourists?
Well, if that's what American tourists are like, I can see why foreign countries don't like American tourists. But I can see why someone would take issue with the title of terrorist. It's gained a lot of notoriety in our vocabulary in the past few decades. And we like to believe that no, that couldn't happen here. No domestic terrorism, no homegrown threats. But I came prepared. U.S. Code, Title 18, Part 1, Chapter 113, B as in Brown, Section 2331. The term domestic terrorism means activities that involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or of any state, and B, appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, or to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping, and occur primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States.
Well, thank you for that. And I had one final question for Sergeant Cannell, but it looks like my time is up, so I'll yield back to you.
Chair will give the gentleman opportunity to ask his
Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman. Are there questions, Sergeant Cannell, that you hope we can answer as a committee about the causes of the attack, the nature of the attack, and what happened in the weeks prior to January 6th as we develop our work plan moving forward?
I think, in my opinion, we do need to get to the bottom of it. Who incited, who brought those people here? Why did people were made to believe that the process was rigged along those lines? But going back to what Hodges says, I had, in my 15 years of service, I had given thousands of, I had given tour to thousands of people at the Capitol as an officer, as a sergeant, and even in plain clothes uniform. At no point in time did I ever got attacked. I don't know why, how would you call an attack on police officer a tour? When you see me bleeding my hands, when you see other officers getting concussion, getting maimed, getting fingers shattered.
Getting what?
I got gouged.
Police officers were getting
It's
fingered?
undescribable. You defending the undefensible. And it demoralized not just the rank and file, but the future recruits that we are trying to get. So what do you think people considering becoming law enforcement officers think when they see elected leaders downplaying this? You know, why would I risk my life for them when they don't even care? They don't care what happened to the public. They don't care what happened to the officers. All they care is their job, their position. If they don't have the courage to put their job on the line because they want to feed some lies or not to feed somebody's ego or like for a tweet, that's not putting the country first. We are willing to risk our life, but at least make it worth it. We are trying, we do that regardless whether you are Republican, Democrat, Independent. We don't care. When there's a call, radio call, or dispatch sends a call, we don't ask, hey, by the way, before I treat you, before I take care of you, are you a Republican or Democrat or Independent? We don't. We just respond. And normally, under any other circumstances, we just stay shut. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about what happened to us. But this is bigger than that. You downplaying an event that happened to the country itself, to democracy, to the rule of law. You're talking about people who claim that they are pro-law enforcement, pro-police, pro-law and order. And then yet, when they have the chance and the opportunity to do something about it, to hold people accountable, you don't. You pass the bucket like nothing happened. And it's so devastating for recruiting. Yes, we need bodies right now, but this makes it harder, especially when you're trying to attract the talent that we need. People who are willing to risk their lives to protect you guys.
Well, thank you very much, Sergeant Cannell. And Mr. Chairman, the question was asked by Officer Dunn, is this America? I think these gentlemen embody the spirit of America, and we must do justice to their sacrifice in the work of our committee. I yield back.
No question about it. Chair recognizes the gentlelady from Virginia, Ms. Luria.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to say to the 4 officers here today that I'm grateful for your service, for you sharing your stories, for your willingness to speak to the members of this committee and to the American people about the horrific things that you experienced on January 6th, truly experienced in defense of our democracy. Sergeant Cannell, we talked earlier and you mentioned the many times that you took the oath, both to become a naturalized citizen, to join the Army, to serve as an officer of the Capitol Police Force. And Officer Hodges, you mentioned as well, as a National Guardsman and as a police officer. And myself, something I can't share with you, the horrific experiences that you had that day. But all of us having taken that oath, and I took it when I was 17 and joined the Navy in over 2 decades, Sergeant Cannell, when you mentioned and compared this earlier to the experiences that you had in Iraq, that in a war zone, you didn't feel like you felt that day. Can you share that with us in a little more detail, what was going through your head, your thoughts about what you had experienced defending our nation on foreign soil and then being here in the heart of our nation in our capital and being assaulted the way that you were?
It is very disappointing in terms of when you see, when I was at the Lower West Terrace, and I saw many officers fighting for their lives against people, rioters, our own citizens.
Fascists.
Turning against us.
Just say it,
people
fascist.
Who had the thin blue line on their chest, or another rider with a Marine hat that says veteran, or any other type of military paraphernalia or whatnot. And then they're accusing us of betraying the oath, or they the one betraying the oath. When I was in Iraq, the sense of camaraderie, it didn't matter whether you were white, black, Spanish, Middle Eastern. We all knew what we were fighting for. And my experience there was there were times that I was scared of going on convoys or doing my supply mission to local Iraqi population, because at any point we were possibly ambushed or getting shot at. We knew the risk. But here it was simultaneously over and over, our own citizens, while they were attacking us, because we're defending the very institution that they are claiming that they're trying to save.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I know it's been difficult today as we've watched these images from the Capitol, but I did want to share one more video. But this time I would ask people, you could even close your eyes and listen without watching. Just listen to what is being said as these brave men were being overrun.
Wow.
Fuck you guys! You can't even call yourself American! You broke your fucking nose today! 1776!
Yo, Conservatives
Well,
are
Officer
fucking
Fanone,
stupid.
I wanted to turn to you.
Fucking
And when you hear the
dumbasses.
rioters chanting things in this video, things like F the blue, you can't even call yourself an American, you're on the wrong side of freedom. Can you share how that makes you feel?
You know what's up? I know exactly what he's feeling. He voted Trump. He was MAGA, and now he feels like shit right now.
Again, I
I
think when
know
I,
it.
you know, my response that day, and
I
at
know
no
it.
point that day did I ever think about the politics of that crowd. Even the things that were being said did not resonate in the midst of that chaos. But what did resonate was the fact that thousands of Americans were attacking police officers who were simply there doing their job. And that they were there to disrupt members of Congress who were doing their job. You know, in retrospect now, thinking about those events, the things that were said, it's disgraceful that members of our government, I believe, were responsible for inciting that behavior and then continue to propagate those statements. Things like, you know, this was the 1776, or that police officers who fought risked their lives, and some who gave theirs were redcoats and traitors. To me, those individuals are, you know, representative of the worst that America has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'm reading him.
And thinking
There's
about
a lot of
the events
regret
that happened on January
going
6th
on in
and
his
thinking
mind.
about what led up to that day, I was reminded of a quote that I frequently heard used from Hemingway that asks, you know, how do these things happen? How do things like this happen? And that quote, it's very short. It just says, gradually and then suddenly. And I think that our founders understood that our republic was very fragile and it would be tested. And it was tested here on January 6th. You know, in 20 years, I don't want to look back on this moment and think that we saw these signs coming gradually, that these were signs that we ignored, that signs that people thought were just isolated incidents or signs of things that we thought could never happen. And I don't want to say to my daughter or Sergeant Gunnell to your son or Officer Fanone to your 4 daughters, I don't want any of us to say that this happened gradually and then suddenly. And that some were just too worried about winning the next election to do something about it or too cowardly to seek the truth. So that's the task before this committee. I'm sure that we'll be attacked by cowards, by those in the arena, those only in the stands, and that we'll be attacked by people who are more concerned about their own power than about the good of this country. But my oath, your oath, all of our oaths here today to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, will be our guiding light for this investigation. And as Officer Dunn said earlier, you said we can never again allow our democracy to be put in peril. So I will say that we will persevere, we will do what is right, and our nation is truly ever grateful to you who held that line. Your actions on January 6th could very well have been what saved our democracy, and we thank you.
Gentlelady yields
Mr.
back.
Chair, I yield back.
Thank you. The gentleman from Maryland asked a question in terms of what you would expect this committee to do in our body of work. The Sergeant Grinnell responded, but we didn't give the other three members an opportunity to kind of tell us, based on the last 202 days of your life, what would you task this committee in its body of work? What would you like to see us do? Officer Fanone, I'll start with you.
Yes, sir. So while I understand that there have been investigations into the events of January 6th, my understanding is that those have addressed some of the micro level concerns, that being the immediate security of the Capitol building itself, also the forced mobilization of officers that day, planning and preparation, and training and equipment concerns. A lot of, the events of January 6th and the days preceding, I guess it's interesting, and from a law enforcement perspective, as a police officer, a lot of these events happen in plain sight. We had violent political rhetoric. We had the organization of a rally whose title was Stop the Steal. And that rally occurred on January 6th, which I don't believe was a coincidence that on January 6th, members of Congress, you here in the room today, were charged with tallying the electoral votes and certifying the election of our president. And in the academy, we learn about time, place, and circumstance in investigating potential crimes and those who may have committed them. And so the time, the place, and the circumstances of that rally, that rhetoric, and those events, to me, leads in the direction of our president and other members, not only of Congress and the Senate, but that is what I am looking for, is an investigation into those actions and activities which may have resulted in the events of January 6th, and also whether or not there was collaboration between those members, their staff, and these terrorists.
Thank you very much. Officer Hodges.
I think Fanone hit the nail on the head there. As patrol officers, we can only, deal with the crimes that happen on the streets, the misdemeanors, and occasionally the violent felonies. But you guys are the only ones we've got to deal with crimes that occur above us. I need you guys to address if anyone in power had a role in this. If anyone in power coordinated or aided or abetted or tried to downplay, tried to prevent the investigation of this terrorist attack, because we can't do it. We're not allowed to. And I think the majority of Americans are really looking forward to that as well.
Thank you. Officer Dunn.
Thank you, Chairman. There's been a sentiment that's going around that says everybody's trying to make January 6th political. Well, it's not a secret that it was political. They literally were there to stop the steal. So when people say it shouldn't be political, it is. It was and it is. There's no getting around that. Telling the truth shouldn't be hard. Fighting on January 6th, that was hard. Showing up January 7th, that was hard. The 8th, the 9th, the 10th, all the way till today, that was hard. When the fence came down, that was hard. We lost a layer of protection that we had, and the fence came down and still nothing has changed. Everything is different, but nothing has changed. Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger are being lauded as courageous heroes. And while I agree with that notion, why? Because they told the truth? Why is telling the truth hard? I guess in this America, it is. Us 4 officers, we would do January 6th all over again. We wouldn't stay home because we knew it was going to happen. We would show up. That's courageous. That's heroic. So what I ask from you all is to get to the bottom of what happened. And that includes, like, I echo the sentiments of all of the other officers sitting here. I use an analogy to describe what I want as a hitman. If a hitman is hired and he kills somebody, the hitman goes to jail. But not only does the hitman go to jail, but the person who hired them does. There was an attack carried out on January 6th, and a hitman sent them. I want you to get to the bottom of that. So, thank you.
Well, thank you. Very powerful comments, by the way.
Chairman Thompson.
Yes.
If I may add, I also would like to for you guys to give us the tools, or at least the things we need to succeed, to continue to protecting you guys. I think that's essential for you guys to provide us what we need in terms of like financially. I don't know, I'm not part of the innuendo about how that process works, but perhaps fortifying the Capitol, that will help. I know we were literally desperate. If we had that, that would have made a big difference on January 6th. I know people want to keep this place open to the public as much as possible, but there are things that we could do to remediate that, and also, or to reinforce entrances, whatnot. It's hard, but it takes will. I know architect of the Capitol has some regulations and whatnot, but the time had passed. We still have security measure from 20 years ago. That had to go. We need to reinvent the wheel and change that. But only you guys have the power to authorize that. They won't do it unless you guys do. The other thing is, we still only operating on certain things that we could adjust, things that we were doing back in when 9/11 happened. We're still doing it today, even 6 months after the attack on the Capitol. But only you, perhaps with the chief of police, the new chief of police, which he seems receptive to some of these changes, perhaps that would change. But we too, just like Officer Don said, we're still doing things that prior to January 6th, we were doing it, and we're still doing it today. And I think that should change. Thank you.
Well, again, thank all of you for your testimony, and obviously you are real heroes in this situation. What you did in the committee's opinion helped preserve this democracy. The time you gave for reinforcements to finally get to the Capitol made the difference. So for that, we thank you. But you carried out your duties at tremendous risk. Now we on this committee have a duty, however, a far less dangerous one, but an essential one. to get to the bottom of what happened that day. We cannot allow what happened on January 6th to ever happen again. We owe it to the American people. We owe it to you and your colleagues, and we will not fail, I assure you, in that responsibility. Thank you again to our witnesses, as well as our distinguished colleagues of the committee. Any closing remarks? Without objections, members will be permitted 10 business days to submit statements for the record, including opening remarks and additional questions for witnesses, to appropriate staff at all meetings of the Select Committee. Without objection, the committee stands adjourned.
For the last 3.5 hours, we have been watching this House Select Committee investigating the January 6th riot on the Capitol, the building just behind us here in Washington. The powerful testimony, powerful and personal, emotional at times, from 4 Capitol police officers, one of them describing the violence, the physical violence that he experienced that day, that he thought to himself, this is how I'm going to die. Our colleague, NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Garrett Hake has been on the Hill for the course of this day, was in the room for much of today's testimony. And Garrett, for those who have paid close attention, a lot of this is not new. They've heard these stories, they've seen these dramatic pictures, but fundamentally the challenge here, as was described by one of the witnesses today, is that many of those people who participated still think what they did was right. What are some of the biggest challenges that these lawmakers face in this effort to try to get to the bottom of January 6th?
Well, I think part of it is just dispelling some of the myths and the rewriting of history that has happened in the last 6 months. And you saw these police officers attempt to do that today. They were very clear about who came to the Capitol. It was supporters of former President Trump. They were clear about why. They told them they were there to stop the steal and to fight for Donald Trump. And they know that they were armed. This has become a popular talking point on the right, that those people who came to attack the Capitol were unarmed. Not so. Say the officers who fought with them, they were facing bats and rebar, hockey sticks, bear spray, wasp spray to the face, you name it. So you wanted to have witnesses like these, theoretically nonpartisan and credible, set the groundwork for exactly what happened on that day. And you heard there from Officer Dunn at the very end. These officers want to see accountability go all the way to the top, to the person who they clearly believe ordered this attack, in so many words, the former president himself. Now it'll be up to the committee to, over the next several weeks, figure out how to take what they have done here, setting the groundwork with this very intense, emotional, graphic testimony, and build on it in an investigatory way. How do they use what we saw here at the Capitol through the eyes of those officers to go up the chain, as they seem to want to do, to pursue more accountability for the political figures involved in inspiring that attack?
Garrett Hake was in the room for much of today's testimony. Joining us now, also joining us, is the retired Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best. She is an NBC News law enforcement analyst. And if I can ask you, Chief Best, one of the things that was striking were the comments we just heard moments ago from Officer Dunn, who said, among other things, everything is different and yet nothing has changed. From your perspective, what in particular needs to change? What could this committee do that would effectively help make sure that this never occur again?
Yeah, Peter, I wrote down that quote myself. It was incredibly powerful. The fact of the matter is that we really do need to have this nonpartisan inquiry and confront what actually happened on January 6th. As Americans, we need to know this. As you stated, I'm a retired police chief. I'm also a U.S. Army veteran. I still chair the Human and Civil Rights Committee for the International Association of Chiefs of Police. I'm in North Carolina today to talk to the North Carolina Police Executive Association. Policing is a calling. You know, people are there because they want to do good for others. So when I hear these officers say that they were punched, kicked, shoved, chemical agents in their face, tased, lasers pointed at them, bear spray, pepper spray, by people wearing bulletproof vests, people who had armed themselves, people who were using the American flag and a Confederate flag and the blue flag to harm these officers. It really is truly disturbing and sickening. And the fact of the matter is, it's very clear this was coordinated, it was planned. I think everyone wants to know who gave the order, and this is going to help law enforcement across the nation, but certainly the individuals who are personally involved move on and better their approaches and responses to hopefully this never happening again.
And Chief Best, as you know well, fundamentally one of the biggest challenges we face in this country is that there are two separate versions of the truth when there's, in fact, only one that is the truth. So how do we as Americans and do we as law enforcement, who ultimately at the end of the day are the ones who are tasked with trying to protect lawmakers, protect Americans across this country, deal with, as one of the witnesses today described it, the terrorism, the domestic terrorism that does continue to grow within this country?
Well, one thing, I think we need to have some sort of actual federal response to help really ferret out, working with local law enforcement, these terrorist groups as they continue to thrive and continue to spread this false narrative about what happened. We need to actually pay attention early on, and there needs to be accountability when these acts occur, so that they don't lead up to something like what we saw on January 6th. It's incredibly important. I think local authorities working with the federal authorities and really digging into these incidents, because a lot of smaller incidents happen in different places in the country before we got what we saw on January 6th.
Also joining us today is Barbara McQuaid. She is a former U.S. attorney in Michigan, also an NBC News legal analyst. And Barbara, I want to ask you, because among the key moments, part of the conversation that we witnessed today was this idea that they were trying basically to dispel Donald Trump's invented fiction that the crowd that day was a loving crowd. As one of the officers said, they didn't experience any of those hugs and kisses that the former president said existed on that day. What in particular, from your prosecutorial view, what do you think? What specific questions should these lawmakers be asking as this investigation proceeds? And what do you hope would be the conclusion that they were able to effectively get to?
Well, I thought today the police officers laid out a very compelling narrative about what happened to them and debunked that myth that we have seen, that effort to whitewash this as somehow a loving, peaceful, ordinary group of tourists. But going forward, one of the questions that I think was really reinforced today is why were these Capitol police officers and D.C. police officers so ill-prepared? Why was there this intelligence failure? I think the other point that came up and was brought home very well by Officer Dunn was when he was asked what he hopes to see this committee uncover, when he said, we know that these were like a hitman. He used the analogy of a hitman. We know who came to attack us that day. We want to know who hired the hitman. And so they need to go back and find out whether this was an organized effort, and if so, who organized it.
And Barbara, we know that this committee has subpoena power. They've already suggested, Benny Thompson, the chairman, among others, saying that if necessary, they would subpoena the former president, subpoena Kevin McCarthy, the Republican leader right now. What is the likelihood that they receive anything in the terms of testimony or even written testimony from the former president or some of those Republican leaders who at least members of this committee believe may have played some role in the lead up to that day?
Well, one very important development occurred in the form of a legal opinion by Attorney General Merrick Garland that says that they will not be invoking executive privilege because of the extraordinary circumstances of this attack. And so they'll be without that legal defense. Now, we have seen President Trump play this game before of dragging his feet. And so I imagine we would get his testimony or his documents only after a great amount of kicking and screaming. But I think others in the executive branch are likely to comply and won't have that legal defense to fall back on. So that is a great positive step in the right direction for this committee to uncover the truth.
Barbara McQuaid, Chief Best, Garrett Haight, all of our colleagues joining us for this as we again see those concluding moments in that hearing room, some Democratic lawmakers in the corner of the room embracing after what was really an emotional day of testimony. That will conclude our coverage of this, the first hearing by the House Select Committee investigating January 6th and the riot at the Capitol. We will have a complete wrap-up tonight on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. I'm Peter Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
Breaking news first on NBC News Now. Stunning exit. Team USA star Simone Biles withdrawing from the Olympic gymnastics team final.
Mr. President, it's been a long time since you sat down with an American television network, almost 3 years, I think. Thank you for your time. There's a lot to discuss. I hope we have time to get to all of the issues. But I want to begin with some news from the US just today. In the US, it's reported that Russia is preparing, perhaps within months, to supply Iran with an advanced satellite system, enabling Tehran to track military targets. Is that true?
All right, my love, I'll let you go. Go watch your show.
Would you mind repeating the question again? That we are preparing to hack what kind of facilities?
No, the report today is that Russia is preparing to give or to offer to Iran satellite technology which will enable Iran to target military, to make military targets.
No, we don't have that kind of programs with Iran. No, it's just nonsense all over again. Yet again, we have cooperation plans with Iran, including military and technical cooperation, and all of this fits the framework of the decisions that were agreed upon in our program in regard to Iran's nuclear program in the context of UN decisions, together with our partners in the preparation of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Actions, whereby at some point sanctions, including in the area of military and technical cooperation, should be lifted from Iran. We do have certain programs, but they all concern conventional weapons, if it gets that far. However, we haven't even gone to that stage yet. We don't even have any kind of real cooperation, even in the conventional weapons area. So if anybody is making something up regarding modern space-based technology, this is just plain fiction. This is just fake news. At the very least, I don't know anything about this kind of thing. Those who are speaking about it probably know more about it. It's just nonsense.
So presumably you'd agree that giving Iran satellite technology that might enable it to target US servicemen and women in places like Iraq, or to share that information with Hezbollah or the Houthi in Yemen so they could target Israel and Saudi Arabia, that giving Iran that kind of satellite technology would be dangerous?
Look, why are we talking about problems that don't exist? There is no subject for discussion. Somebody has invented something, has made something up. Maybe this is just a bogus story in order to limit any kind of military and technical cooperation with Iran. I will say once again, this is just some fake information that I have no knowledge about. For the first time, I'm hearing about this information from you. We don't have this kind of intentions, and I'm not even sure that Iran is even able to accommodate this kind of technology. This is a separate subject, a very high-tech subject. Yes, indeed, we don't rule out that cooperation with many world nations and us is possible in space, but probably everybody knows very well our position in terms that we are categorically against space militarization altogether. We believe that space should be free from any and all kinds of weapons located in near-Earth orbits. That is why we don't have this kind of plans, or any plans, especially concerning the transfer of technology of the level that you have just described.
So let's move on to your summit with President Biden. The context for the summit is that he is meeting with the G7, a group that you used to belong to, with NATO, with European leaders. President Biden has defined his first trip to Europe as, quote, about rallying the world's democracies. He views you as a leader of autocrats who is determined to undermine the liberal democratic order. Is that true?
Well, I don't know. Somebody presents it from a certain perspective. Someone else looks at the development of the situation and at yours truly in a different manner. All of this is being offered to the public in a way that is found to be expedient for the ruling circles of a certain country. The fact that President Biden has been meeting up with his allies, there is nothing unusual about it. There is nothing unusual about a G7 meeting. We know what G7 is. I have been there on numerous occasions. I know what the values are in that forum. When people get together and discuss something, it's always good. It's better than not to get together and not to discuss. Because even in the context of G7, there are matters that require ongoing attention and consideration because there are differences. Strange as it may seem, there may be differences in assessments of international events on the international arena and among themselves. Very well then, let them get together and discuss it. As far as NATO, I have said on many occasions, this is a Cold War relic. It's something that was born in the Cold War era. I'm not sure why it still continues to exist. There was a time and there was some talk that this organization would be transformed. Now it has been kind of forgotten. We presume that it is a military organization. It is an ally of the United States. Every once in a while it makes sense to meet up with your allies, although I can have an idea how the discussion goes along there. Clearly everything is decided by consensus. However, there is just one opinion that is correct, whereas the other opinions, all of the other opinions, are not quite that correct, putting it in careful terms. Well, there we go. Allies are getting together. What's so unusual about it? I don't see anything unusual about it. As a matter of fact, it's a sign of respect to the U.S. allies before a summit between the U.S. and Russian presidents take place. Probably it is being presented as desire to find out their opinion on the key issues of the current agenda, including those issues that President Biden and I will discuss. However, I'm inclined to think that despite all of these niceties, the United States, as far as their relationship with Russia, will be promoting what they consider important and necessary for themselves, above all for themselves, for their economic and military interests. However, to hear what their allies have to say about that probably never hurts. This is a working procedure.
So let's talk about your meeting with President Biden, the summit that will happen after those meetings. President Biden asked you to meet with him. He didn't make any preconditions. Were you surprised? No. We have a bilateral relationship that has deteriorated to what is the lowest point in recent years. However, there are matters that need a certain amount of comparing notes and identification and determination of mutual positions, so that matters that are of mutual interest can be dealt with in an efficient and effective way in the interests of both the United States and Russia. So there is nothing unusual about it. In fact, despite this seemingly harsh rhetoric, we did expect those suggestions because the U.S. domestic political agenda made it impossible for us to restore the relationship at an acceptable level. This meeting should have taken place at some point. So President Biden launched this initiative. Prior to that, as you will know, he had supported the extension of the START treaty, which of course was bound to meet with support from our side, because we believe that this is a treaty in the area of containment of strategic offensive weapons.
It has been worked through and thoroughly and meets our interests and meets the U.S. interests. So this offer could be expected.
Will you go into the summit agreeing to begin more arms control talks immediately after the summit? Because, as you mentioned, President Biden has extended New START by 5 years. Washington would like that to be the beginning, not the end of that conversation.
We know what matters and what problems Americans want to discuss with us. We understand these questions, matters, and problems. We are prepared for this joint work. We have certain, if not differences, then different understandings of what pace, at what pace, and in what directions we need to be moving. We know what constitutes priorities for the U.S. side, and generally speaking, this is a process that needs to be advanced at the professional level along the lines of the Foreign Ministry and Defense Ministry on the Russian side and Pentagon and the State Department on the U.S. side. We are prepared for this work. We've heard signals that the U.S. side would like to see these negotiations resumed at this expert level of professionals. We will see if the conditions for this have been created following the summit. Of course, we're not saying no. We are prepared to do this work.
President Biden wants predictability and stability. Is that what you want?
Well, these are the most important things. This is the most important thing. This is the most important value, if you will, in international affairs.
Sorry to interrupt you, but he would say that you have caused a lot of instability and unpredictability.
Well, he says one thing, I say another thing, but maybe at some point, in certain ways, our rhetoric varies and is different, but if you ask my opinion now, I'm telling you what it is. The most important value in international affairs is predictability and stability. And I believe that on the part of our U.S. partners, this is something that we haven't seen in recent years. What kind of stability and predictability could there be if we remember the 2011 events in Libya, where the country was essentially taken apart, broken down? What kind of stability and predictability were there? There has been talk of a continued presence of troops in Afghanistan, and then all of a sudden, boom, the troops are being withdrawn from Afghanistan. What? Is this predictability and the stability again? Now, the Middle East events. Is this predictability and stability? What all of this will lead to? Or in Syria? What is stable and predictable about this? I've asked my U.S. counterparts, you want Assad to leave? Who will replace him? What will happen when somebody replaces him? The answer is odd. The answer is, I don't know. Well, if you don't know what will happen next, why change what there is? It could be a second Libya or another Afghanistan. Do we want this? No. Let us sit down together, talk, look for compromise solutions that are acceptable for all the parties. That is how stability is achieved. It cannot be achieved by imposing one particular point of view, the quote-unquote correct point of view, whereby all the other ones are incorrect. That is not how stability is achieved.
Let's get to some of those issues. I want to just talk a little bit more about your relationship with President Biden. This will not be the Helsinki summit. President Biden is not President Trump. You once described President Trump as a bright person, talented. How would you describe President Biden?
Well, even now, I believe that former U.S. President Mr. Trump is an extraordinary individual, talented individual. Otherwise, he would not have become a U.S. president. He's a colorful individual, and you may like him or not. And he didn't come, of course, from the U.S. establishment. He had not been part of big-time politics before. And some like it, some don't like it, but that is a fact. President Biden, of course, is radically different from Trump. because President Biden is a career man. He has spent virtually his entire adulthood in politics. He has been doing it for a great deal of years, and I have already said that, and that is an obvious fact. Just think of the number of years he spent in the Senate and how many years he was involved in matters of international politics and disarmament, virtually at the expert level. That is a different kind of person, and it is my great hope that, yes, there are some advantages, some disadvantages, but there will not be any knee-jerk reactions on behalf of the sitting U.S. president, and that we will be able to comply with certain rules of engagement, certain rules of communications, and we'll be able to find points of contact and common points. That's about it. And what will actually happen, we will need to live and see based on the actual practical policies and results thereof.
Well, President Biden says one time when you met, you were inches away from each other, close to each other. And he said to you, I'm looking in your eyes and I can't see a soul. And you said, we understand each other. Do you remember that exchange?
As far as soul, I'm not sure. One has to think about what soul is. But I do not remember this particular part of our conversations, to be honest with you. I do not remember. We all, when we meet, when we get together, when we talk, when we work, we strive and achieve for some solutions. We all proceed from the interests of our nations and our states, and this is fundamental and is the bedrock of all our actions and intentions. And this is the driving force and the motive for organizing meetings of this kind. And as far as soul goes, that's something for the church.
Yeah, you're a religious man. President Biden is saying he told you to your face you don't have a soul.
I do not remember this.
He says it was 10 years ago.
Maybe there's
10 years
something
ago when
wrong
he was vice president, he says.
with my memory. Well, he probably has a good memory. I do not rule this out, but I don't remember this. Generally, in personal encounters, people try to act appropriately. I do not remember any inappropriate elements of behavior on the part of my counterparts. I don't think that anything like that has happened.
Would you have felt that was an inappropriate thing to say?
Well, that depends on the context. It depends on what form they're said in. You know, one can say it in different ways. It can be presented in different ways. But generally, people meet up in order to establish a relationship and create an environment and conditions for joint work with a view to achieving some kind of positive results. If one is going to have a fight with somebody else, why bother and have a meeting to begin with? One is better off looking into budget and social policies domestically. We have many issues that we have to resolve. What's the point then? It's just a waste of time. Of course, one can present this for domestic political consumption, which I believe is what has been done in the United States in the last few years, where the US-Russia relationship was sacrificed for the sake of a fierce political strife inside the US. We can see that. We know it well. We have been accused of all kinds of things, election interference, cyber attacks, and so on and so forth, and not one time did they bother to produce any kind of evidence or proof, just unfounded accusations. I'm surprised that we have not yet been accused of provoking the Black Lives Matter movement. That would have been a good line of attack.
What do you think?
We did not do that.
What do you think of the Black Lives Matter movement?
I think that, of course, this movement was used by one of the political forces domestically in the course of election campaigns. But there are some grounds for it. Let's remember Colin Powell, who was Secretary of State, and he was also in charge of the Pentagon. Even he wrote in his book that even he, as a high-ranking official, had felt some kind of injustice towards himself his entire life, as someone with a dark complexion. Even from the USSR days and in Russia, we have always treated with understanding the fight of African Americans for their rights. And there are certain roots to it. There is a certain foundation for this. But no matter how noble the goals that somebody is driven by, if it reaches certain extremes, if it spills over into extremism, acquires elements of extremism, we cannot approve this. We cannot welcome this. So our attitude to this is very simple. We do support African Americans' fight for their rights, but we are against any types and kinds of extremism, which unfortunately, sometimes, regrettably, we witness currently these days.
You mentioned cyber attacks and deny any involvement by Russia. But Mr. President, there is now a weight of evidence, a long list of alleged state-sponsored cyber attacks. Let me give you 5. There's a lot, but it makes a point. The US intelligence community says Russia interfered with the 2016 election. Election security officials said Russia tried to interfere with the 2020 election. Cybersecurity researchers said government hackers targeted COVID vaccine researchers, hacking for COVID vaccines. In April, the Treasury Department said the SolarWinds attack was the world's worst, with targets including 9 federal agencies. And just before your summit, Microsoft says it's discovered another attack with targets including organizations that have criticized you, Mr. Putin. Mr. President, are you waging a cyber war against America?
Dear Keir, you have said that there is a weight of evidence of cyber attacks by Russia. And then you went on to list those official US agencies that have stated as much. Is that what you did?
Well, I'm giving you information about who said it, so you can answer.
Right. You are conveying information to me as to who said that, but where is evidence that this was indeed done? I will tell you that this person has said that and that person has said this, but where is the evidence? Where is proof? When there are charges like that without evidence, I can tell you, you can take your complaint to the International League of Sexual Reform. Will you be happy about it? This is a conversation that has no subject whatsoever. At least put something on the table so that we can look and respond. But there isn't anything like that. The latest thing, as far as I know, one of the latest attacks was against a pipeline system in the US. Right, yes. So, what?
But this is, you'll mention...
Just a moment. As far as I know, the shareholders of this company even made a decision to pay the ransom. They paid off the cyber gangsters. If you have listed an entire set of US special services, powerful, respectable, global, after all, they can find whoever the ransom was paid to. And once they do that, I hope they will realize that Russia has nothing to do with it. Now, there's some kind of a cyber attack against a meat processing plant. Next time, they will say there was an attack against some Easter eggs. It's becoming farcical, like an ongoing farcical thing, a never-ending farcical thing. You said plenty of evidence, but you haven't cited any proof, yet again. But this is an empty conversation, a pointless conversation. What exactly are we talking about?
You've moved on to this question of ransomware and criminals Russian-speaking criminals, is the allegation, are targeting the American way of life: food, gas, water, hospitals, transport. Why would you let Russian-speaking criminals disrupt your diplomacy? Don't you want to know who's responsible?
You know, the simplest thing to do would be for us to sit down calmly and agree on joint work in cyberspace. And we did suggest that to Mr. Obama's administration. We started in September, during his last year in office. In October at first. They didn't say anything. Then in November they came back to us and said that yes, it was interesting. Then the election was lost. We restated this proposal to Mr. Trump's administration. The response was that it is interesting, but it didn't come to the point of actual negotiations. There are grounds to believe that we can build an effort in this area with the new administration. We hope that the domestic political situation in the United States will not prevent this from happening. But we have proposed to do this work together. Let's agree on the principles of mutual work. Let's find out what we can do together. Let's agree on how we will structure counter efforts against this process that is gaining momentum. We here in the Russian Federation have cybercrime that has increased many times over in the last few years. We're trying to respond to it. We're looking for cyber criminals. If we find them, we punish them. We are willing to engage with international participants, including the United States. You are the ones who have refused to engage in joint work. What can we do? We cannot build this work. We cannot structure this work unilaterally.
Well, I'm not the government, Mr. Putin. I'm just a journalist asking
I understand
questions. But if you clearly want to negotiate, you must have something to negotiate with. You don't ask for a truce unless you're fighting in a war.
You know, as far as the war, NATO, officially, I'd like to draw your attention to that. NATO has officially stated that it considers cyberspace a battlefield, an area of military action, and conducts military exercises in that battlefield.
And you're involved in that battlefield. Russia is fighting on that battlefield, correct?
No.
Really?
That is not correct. Really? If we wanted to do that, NATO did say that it considers cyberspace an area of combat, and it prepares and even conducts exercises. What stops us from doing the same? If you do that, we will do the same thing, but we don't want that. Just like we don't want space militarized, in the same manner, we don't want cyberspace militarized. And we have suggested on many occasions agreeing on mutual work in the cybersecurity area. But your government refuses to.
I saw your proposal from September, from just in September. Isn't what you're proposing that if you can come to an agreement over hacking and election interference, then you'll call off the hacking and the election interference if America agrees not to comment on your elections and your political opponents?
What we count on is that nobody should interfere in domestic processes in other countries, neither the US in ours or we in the USA's or any other nations. All nations of the world should be given a chance to develop calmly. Even if there are crisis situations, they have to be resolved by the people domestically, without any influence or interference from the outside. But I don't think that this call by the US administration is worth anything. It appears to me that the US government will continue to interfere in political processes in other countries. I don't think that this process can be stopped because it has gained a lot of momentum. However, as far as joint work in cyberspace to prevent some unacceptable actions on the part of cyber criminals, that definitely is something that can indeed be agreed upon. And it is our great hope that we will be able to establish this process with our US partners.
If you were in America, what would you fear might happen next? The lights being switched off the way they were in Western Ukraine in 2015?
I don't understand. You mean if I were in America? What would I be afraid of if I were an American, or what?
What should Americans worry? What might happen next if there's no agreement on cyber?
You know, this is the same as space militarization. This is a very dangerous area. At some point in the past, in order to achieve something in the nuclear area, in terms of confrontation in the area of nuclear weapons, the USSR and the United States did agree to contain this particular arms race.
The weave is dying.